Hey everyone, welcome to Intellipaat's YouTube channel. In today's session, we will be learning about Azure CLI.
So before we move on with our live session, please subscribe to our channel.
And also, if you want upcoming updates, please hit the bell icon and also leave a like if you enjoy our content.
Let's get started. So for agenda, we'll be discussing about first of all the overview of what Azure CLI is. Then we'll see how we can install Azure CLI. Then we'll see how Azure CLI can be used, the various commands and all those functions that Azure CLI offers. And finally, we'll have a conclusion on Azure CLI. So first of all, Azure CLI overview. So what is Azure CLI? So simply put, Azure CLI is a cross-platform open source command line tool that we may use to build and manage resources in the Azure portal. So as you might know, Microsoft Azure has a lot of resources like Azure Cosmos, all these virtual machines can be created, monitoring, all these things are available in Azure, Microsoft Azure. So what we usually do is we go to the portal.azure.com, and then we log in using our credentials, and we use the interface that Microsoft has provided to access all these resources. Accessing in the sense, we'll use these to create the resources, manage the resources, and all those things. So, but for people who although everyone might not be liking clicking all these UI elements to create a resource and all that. So, especially for power users who want to automate these tasks and all, accessing all these resources through the portal might be cumbersome. So that's where Azure CLI comes. So as already said, CLI means command line tool. So what here happens is you can use every resource that Azure provides using commands. You can write commands to create the resources. You can write commands to log into the portal. You can write commands to see a subscription. You can create resources. You can delete resources. You can upload data. You can get data. Anything that can be done through the portal can be done with Azure CLI. And the biggest advantage here is the possibility of automation. So that's what Azure CLI is. Also, we have already said Azure CLI is a cross-platform service, which means it can work on any platform. So if you want to use CLI right away, you can just go to the browser and search for Azure shell.azure.com, and you'll land on the Azure CLI browser version where the CLI will work on the browser. You just need to log in and you can use all these commands right from the browser, or even from a mobile device you can use this. If you have an Azure app, if you log in using the credentials, there is this Cloud Shell button at the bottom right corner. If you click on it, you'll get the Azure CLI on mobile. You can have this on Windows, you can have this on Mac OS, you can have this on all of these distributions of Linux. So Azure CLI can run on a variety of platforms, and this is a very big advantage because multiple people might be collaborating on a project and all of them might not be using the same operating system. So when it comes to a situation like that, if a person is using a different operating system and different operating systems tend to have different terminals and different commands associated with it. So but when you're using CLI, it's a uniform terminal, it's a uniform command system, but it works in every environment, every operating system. So it's a great advantage for all these people who are collaborating on multiple devices. It's also advantageous to people who are not running the native Windows OS, like when Microsoft is providing Azure, so it'll obviously work on Windows. But what happens to a user who is using Mac OS? You don't have to have that doubt because Azure CLI will work on Mac OS also. So that's the beauty of Azure CLI. It can work in any platform. It's an open source tool. It's a command line tool, and we can write commands to access every resource that Azure offers. So that's what Azure CLI is all about. Now, as we already mentioned, what can Azure CLI do? Azure CLI provides an alternate method of accessing the various Azure resources through commands rather than clicking on the UI elements. As we already said, there is a portal.azure.com where you can click on these items. If you want to create for example, if you want to create a Cosmos database, you can go in and search Cosmos database, and then you'll have this button create, and you can click on the create button to create a database. So you're interacting with these UI elements to create a resource. That's what we usually do every time we're interacting with these UI elements. But coding, what if we can access all these through commands? What if we can access all this through writing lines of commands, lines of code? So that's what Azure CLI is offering. And for power users, this might be more easier, because if you're thinking of logging, there are login methods in Azure CLI where you can just type in login your username and password and it'll get directly log in. It will get you directly into the portal. You don't have to open the browser, you don't have to go to portal.azure. So it's time saving in a way. So, and also the automation possibilities. So we'll see what tasks Azure CLI can do. It's an overview of all these tasks that Azure CLI can perform. So we can log in and out of the Azure portal. You can change or view the subscription types. You can fetch resource groups. You can actually fetching resource groups means there are resources. If we have already created resource group, we can fetch them. You can create, query, update or delete resources. You can do anything that the portal can do, and you can automate any and all of the above. You can automate doing all these tasks using CLI. Now moving on. Okay, so as you already said, Azure CLI has a browser support, which means that Azure CLI can run on the browser. So you don't have to spend your time installing this in your device, and you can just open a browser and directly go into Azure. So as you already said, it can run on web browsers as well as on mobile devices. So if you see the images, the left one is Azure CLI running on a browser, and the right one is it running on a mobile device. So it can run just like that. So you don't have to install it. Now, what if you want to install it? Like if you are someone who does not like working on a browser, and if your browser is not consistent or something happens to the browser, you can always install Azure CLI. So we'll see how to install Azure CLI. So as you already said, Azure CLI is a cross-platform service. It can work on multiple platforms. So first of all, we'll see how you can install Azure CLI on Windows. So there are actually two ways to install Azure CLI on Windows. The first one is using an MSI installer, and the second one is using Windows PowerShell. For using the MSI installer, you can just go to a browser and search Azure CLI MSI installer, and you can download it. And you can just install it like any other program. And in the PowerShell, there are these commands. If you look at this image on the right side, you can see the first command, invoke web request, and this is actually requesting to download the MSI file using PowerShell, and then you can start process MSI exe.executable. So it will run the executable file and will install it. So we'll see this in working during our hands-on session. So after installing, you can just check if we have installed the right version using this command, az version, and you'll see the version and all these details. So earlier versions of Azure CLI required the users to install Python separately, but now if Python is not already present in your system, the CLI installer will first of all install Python and then install CLI. So you don't have to worry about that. But if you are using earlier versions, the users had to manually install Python and then install CLI. But now it's not like that. We'll see all of this in detail in the hands-on session. Now moving on, we'll see how we can install CLI on macOS. So first of all, the easiest way is to install CLI on macOS is using Homebrew. So you have to first of all open the Apple terminal and install Homebrew. So the first command that you have shown here is for installing Homebrew, and then you have to make sure that the Homebrew is updated using the brew update command, and finally you can install CLI using this command, brew install Azure CLI, and it will install Azure CLI. So Homebrew is a package installing service. So it's like you can have all these packages selected and you can install it on any device. So Homebrew is such a service, just like Chocolatey in Windows. Homebrew is a service like that. So you can install Azure CLI in this way on macOS, and then installing it on Linux. So Azure CLI is available for different Linux versions. So, but here we'll see the a few of the most common versions, Ubuntu and CentOS. So for installing CLI on Ubuntu, it's very simple. It's pretty much direct. You can just copy this code that you have shown in the bottom left side, and the curl code, and you can just copy it and paste it in the terminal, and it'll download a script from Microsoft, and it will take up it will do all the steps necessary to install CLI. You don't have to worry about anything like that. And then installing it on CentOS or Fedora, first of all you have to create an entry for the Azure CLI package in the local yum repository using the following command, and then finally invoke the DNF file to install CLI. So first of all you have to write all these commands to create an entry for Azure CLI in the yum repository, and then finally you can invoke this command to install Azure CLI. So finally, assuming that all of us have installed Azure CLI, we'll see how you can use Azure CLI. So this will be a hands-on session on how to start using Azure CLI, and I'll be doing this on Windows. because Windows is the most common OS, and it is pretty much the same in every OS because the installing part is already different, and it's installing is also not very different. That is the only one if there's a difference. So we'll see what all can we do using Azure CLI. In this session, the following will be discussed. First, we'll see what is interactive mode. Then we'll see how to log in. Then we'll see about accessing tenants and subscription. Then we'll see how to create a resource group. Then we'll see querying, and finally debugging. So we have seen what Azure CLI is. We have seen how to install it, and we have seen a hands-on on how it the various commands work. So as a conclusion, we can say that Azure CLI makes the experience of using the resources that Azure provides much snappier, because you don't have to go and click on these things. You can just, and if you have been practicing for some time, typing these commands is very easy. You can just, and in interactive mode and all, there is auto completion, and also it is very fast compared to using the UI. Typing through the various commands makes it easier and faster for automating for the purpose of use in DevOps pipelines or for unattended processes, etc. So this was just a basic introduction to the service. Azure CLI in itself is very vast, and it's an extremely useful tool for managing the Azure resources. So let this be a good start for learning more about Azure CLI.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Microsoft Azure certification training in partnership with Microsoft, mentored by industry experts. The course link of which is given in the description below. Now let's continue with the session.
So we have seen all about what Azure CLI is, how we can install it on various platforms and all in theory. Now we'll see how to install it on Windows and how to use the various commands. So first of all, Azure CLI, for installing it on Windows, there are two ways. The first method is to download and install the MSI file. For that, you can just go to a browser and type in Azure CLI MSI, and if you click enter and go to the Microsoft website, you can download it from here, the current release of Azure CLI. If you click on it, the MSI file will be downloaded. See here, you can see that the MSI file is being downloaded. So after downloading, like any other program, you can just run it, and it will run through the installation, and you can have Azure CLI installed on your device. Now the next method is to use Windows PowerShell. Windows PowerShell is just a advanced version of command prompt. So it is a better UI, and it is much more powerful than command prompt. So we'll be using Windows PowerShell. So to install Windows PowerShell, first of all you have to go to your search and type for PowerShell. If you type for PowerShell, you'll have it here, and then you have to run it as administrator. So you can click here to run as administrator. So it will ask you whether to allow it. Then you have to click on yes. Then here you can see that PowerShell has been opened. So here what we are doing is it's the same thing. We are downloading the MSI file, but we are not directly downloading it. We are actually asking PowerShell to download it from Microsoft website and install it on itself. So for that we have to give a certain code. So if we see here the first code, download MSI. So if I give this code, if I copy it from here and I paste it here and press enter, it will write a request asking for the file. Now we can see that the file is being downloaded from the website. It will take some time because it's about 50 megabytes, I think. So while after it downloads, we can give the next command, what is start process command. So if I give this command, we'll just wait for it to download now. Okay, so it has downloaded. Now I'll paste the next command, start process msi exe.exe. So what happens is it will run the executable file. So what happens now is, if we already have Azure CLI installed on our system, it will either update it, or if it's the newest version, it will just stay as it is. If there is no version, it will install a new version, but if there was already a version, it will update it. So now we can see that it has completed the process. So in order to just make sure we have it installed, we can use this command, this version command. So if I type in this, see, we can see the version that has been installed. So we can make sure, like it's now confirmed that Azure CLI has been installed on my system. The version 2.25 is installed. So you can get all these extra information also. So this is how you install Azure CLI on Windows. You can either download the MSI directly, or you can use these commands, the invoke web request command and the start process command. So that's how you install Azure CLI on Windows. Now, as you've already seen, Azure CLI has been installed. Now we'll see how to use Azure CLI. So for using Azure CLI, so Azure CLI, as you already mentioned, is completely made up of commands. So rather than clicking on the UI elements, you can use commands to do anything. So if I just so Azure CLI is actually also very interactive. It can teach us everything. So if I just type in help, see, it'll give me everything. It'll give me a concise idea of what commands are there. So if I see if the group AC is the command group that we are using, and there are subgroups in here with like account, ACR. If I use the subgroup account, what it'll do, manage Azure subscription information. So it'll give a concise information of what Azure CLI can do. So this is kind of an innovative thing, because Azure CLI is actually teaching itself to us. So you can see all these commands. So login command, logout command. So all these commands you can see from here. So this is a very good feature, because if you have some doubt about if you forgot a command, you can just type in help and you can find the command from here. Now Azure CLI also has an interactive mode where if you just type in AZ interactive, so what happens is, actually now it's just in preview, what happens is it'll open a interactive mode where you can just type in the command and it'll auto complete the command for you. So see, I've written AZ and it is auto completing it for me. It is giving me suggestions as to what is happening, and I can press on tab to go through all the various commands that there are. So this is what is called as interactive mode. So this is interactive mode. So in interactive mode, you can actually just type in the first few letters and it will automatically complete the command for you. So this is very helpful in cases where you have to do things very quickly. So that's what interactive mode is. So interactive mode is actually in preview right now, so it's not very well working, but this is a very good feature once it comes out. So we'll once again start from PowerShell. I'll run it as administrator. So yeah, so this is PowerShell for us. Okay, now we have seen Azure CLI, the help command, also the interactive mode. Now we'll start using Azure CLI. So first of all, before using it, we need to log in to our Azure account. Then only we can use all these resources and all. So for that, there is this command. It's very simple. It's fairly easy to guess. Also, we can just type in AZ login, and if you press enter, it'll open your browser. And you can just enter your details there and you can log in like that. So I'll just enter my details right now. So once I have entered my details, I'll get a message like this: you have logged into Microsoft Azure. You can close this window. So it'll inform the PowerShell that this person has logged into his account, and it'll give the basic details of all the login process, and also a JSON file in, having the name, ID, the tenant ID, and all those stuff. So that's how you log into an Azure account. So now we have seen login. So since we have login, now the user might be requiring his subscription. What subscriptions does he have? He might be, he might need to look through those subscriptions. So if the user wants to do that, he can just go in and type the command AZ account list. So if I just copy the command and I paste it here. So if I copy this command and paste it here and I press enter, I'll have the details of the subscription type and I'll have the name of the cloud. All this information is already given while login also, but if the user needs to access it at any point in time, you can use that. So here I can see the cloud name is Azure Cloud and my subscription type is pay as you go, and the state is enabled, and all those things you can see from there. And also there is this thing about a Azure where for every subgroup, there are also all these commands that can be used. So if I need to, so account is the subgroup that I use for getting all this information about the subscription type and all. So if I just go in and type the shorthand for Edge, this is the shorthand for help. So if I type in the shorthand for help, I'll get all the commands that I can use in this subgroup. So for example, clear, if I use clear, all subscription from CLI's local cache, the subscription that has been stored in the local memory will be cleared. Then get access token, it will give you a token list, it will give you a list of all the subscriptions in the logged account, also list locations, the supported locations, and all these things. So this is what Azure CLI is very good at. It'll teach you everything. You don't have to be worried about something if you don't know. So if there is a subgroup and you want to use that subgroup, and you can just type in help or the shorthand for help, and you can get what you want. So that's how you get information about all these subscription type and all. So now since we have gotten to know about the subscriptions, the user might be needing to create a resource group. So for that, what he has to do is, you can just copy this code and paste it here. So what happens here is, if we look, group create is the command that we are using. Then we are giving the location as Northern Europe, and then resource group. After resource group, RSRC group test is just a name of the resource group that I'm giving. So what happens here is, a resource group with the name RSRC group test will be created in the location North Europe. If I click enter, this is actually creating a resource group. So that's just as simple as that. So here you can see that the resource group has been created, and the location is North Europe, and all the name, the properties, and the provision state, it has succeeded. So we can see that the resource group has been created. So it's just very simple. Rather than going into the portal and then searching for resource group and creating a resource group, giving all this information, you don't have to spend that much time. So when it comes to Azure CLI, it's pretty simple to do all these things. So that's why Azure CLI is much powerful than the usual UI. So now that we have created a resource group, also now we might need to query through the various resources that we have, or maybe various subscription type that we have, and all those things. So usually what happens is, when you give these commands, you'll be getting a lot of JSON files, but you might need to find out certain information about these JSON files. So there are these input tags, like here if I see the brackets.app display name is an input tag. So what it does is, it will just give me the names of all the various applications that is supported in my account. So if I press enter, it will give me a list of, so basically what should have come is a big JSON file with a huge amount of information, but we need to query that JSON file. So that is what we have done here. So if I give the tag bracket.app display name, it will give you the display name of all the applications that is supported in my Azure account. So here you can go Application Insights API, Microsoft Volume Licensing, Azure HD Insights Service. So all these things are the name of the applications that my Azure account has. So this is actually how we query the various things in Azure. So now we have seen how to log in, we have seen how to see the various subscriptions, we have created a resource, and now we'll also see how to we have seen querying the JSON files. Now we'll see how to debug a file, debug a certain situation. So if I go and just copy and paste this command, see, so what happens is, it will be giving me a huge text file. So what here happens is, it is actually giving me the set of commands that were given to the REST client, and what is the response and all those things. So a person who is running an application can go into this data, and he can just clearly get the URL for what was done, and he can copy the URL in his application and see if all the permissions was given, and you can debug the various problems that are arising. So that's how you debug. So in conclusion, Azure CLI gives us a very very concise method to access the resources. You can log in using this, you can create the resources, you can query, you can debug, you can do anything that Azure portal can do. So that's what Azure CLI is all about. You can use commands, you can do this very quickly. So I've just taken very few minutes to log in, create a resource, access all these files and all those. So that's what Azure CLI is all about.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Microsoft Azure certification training in partnership with Microsoft, mentored by industry experts. The course link of which is given in the description below.
So guys, we have come to the end of our session. I hope you all enjoyed it. For any questions that you have related to coding, you can mention it in the comment sections below.
So thank you so much for attending this session, and meet you in another session.